This is RTV6 News at 6, working for you.
That's why we're out here, and we have to do this in a zero tolerance, and we have to write those tickets.
The back-to-school crackdown on dangerous drivers. Hear the excuse that will never get you out of a ticket.
An animal welfare group is pushing for tougher penalties when it comes to animal abuse and neglect. I'm Call 6 Investigates Kara Kenny, working for you, taking your concerns to the City County Council.
And we are working for you to get answers about when the Central Avenue Bridge will finally reopen to traffic. We begin now at 6 on alert for the possibility of storms this evening.
There is a low risk for severe thunderstorms in central Indiana. Storm Team 6 Chief Meteorologist Kevin Gregory is tracking that for you tonight. Kevin?
And I would add to that a diminishing risk for severe storms. There was a thunderstorm watch into southwest Indiana. That's now been trimmed back as the line of storms has moved through. You can see that just crossing I-69, rolling through Evansville. The main threat there has been damaging wind. Let's go to the north just a little bit. Doesn't mean our threat for rain and an isolated strong storm is over. This has blossomed just in the last half hour over southern portions of Brown County, and it will move between Seymour and Columbus and cross I-65 with some heavy rainfall. The rest of central Indiana is quiet and likely to stay that way, which means you may wait until Thursday for the next opportunity for some rain. Temperature in Indy back up 1 degree in the last hour, 86. It's 85 in Terre Haute, 81 in Bloomington. This wind out of the northwest will start to bring some drier air back into central Indiana. Other than an isolated thunderstorm, most of us dry this evening, 75 at 11 o'clock tonight.
Tonight, RTV6 brings you an exclusive look as officers go undercover to catch drivers endangering children. 3 kids were killed in Fulton County last year just trying to cross the street to get to their school bus. As RTV6's Stephanie Wade explains, this has been a major issue Indiana lawmakers and districts are trying to address. Stephanie's in Muncie with knowledge to share on how you can make things safer.
Centennial, Rosewood.
RTV6 goes undercover with the Muncie Police Department as they follow school buses on their routes.
We were given 17 and 23 today as buses that they have the most issues with.
The issues police keep hearing about are people driving past buses when the stop arm is out. And it didn't take long to see it for ourselves.
So you can see their parents being pretty aggressive, which we had heard from some people that we talked to in the community that parents were actually like having to get out in the road.
Even then, the driver you see here on the left-hand side still deciding to turn while kids are crossing the street.
That's a pretty clear violation.
Almost every day, people are impatient. They don't understand that these kids are crossing. You can hit them. That's it.
He knew the rules, and I asked him, I said, you saw the arm. Yeah. I thought it was okay.
I don't want my children dead. I don't want them, in the hospital.
Muncie PD received a state grant this year to pay officers overtime, specifically to enforce this law.
This is a big issue right now. It's being talked about.
I'm actually seeing it now, so it's pretty awesome.
Once the buses safely make their way to school, police stick around school zones to watch for people speeding.
Do you know how fast you're traveling today?
He was running 37 miles an hour in a 20-mile-an-hour school zone.
This is 45 and a 20. Very nice lady, but that's 25 over the speed limit. If a kid were to go running across the street, can she get stopped in seconds? The answer is no.
Within just 30 minutes, they've written 16 tickets for speeding in a school zone.
They can write them as fast as they can physically get them printed and get to the next car.
The number one reason people tell police they're speeding, they had to get to work.
It's not a good excuse, especially when we have kids walk into the school zones. 5 miles an hour make all the difference in the world.
For this officer, writing an average of 12 tickets a day, which is a lot.
It's more than we should. I'm hoping that one day we get to 0.
Working for you in Muncie, Stephanie Wade, RTV6.
Thank you, Stephanie. And 39 Hoosier police agencies received part of the $380,000 grant for overtime school bus stop enforcement. The Howard County Sheriff's Office was also one of them. Muncie City councilors are now asking for more information about a steel dust recycling plant they have already approved after hundreds of people showed up at last night's council meeting to voice their concerns. Many people have health and air pollution fears. The large turnout prompted some council members to ask for additional environmental and industrial manufacturing specialists to determine if the plant at the old Borg Warner location would be safe. The Indiana Department of Environmental Management still has to approve the permit. The council has another meeting August 20th, where they also plan to discuss the issue further with the company Wales Sustainable Products.
A new push tonight to stiffen the penalties for irresponsible pet owners in the city of Indianapolis. We told you about Flash, a pit bull mix who died this summer while tethered in his own backyard. Our Call 6 Investigates team found his owner's punishment is not sitting well with some, and as Kara Kenny shows you, they say it's time to boost the punishment.
Our story about the death of Flash touched a nerve. The RTV6 Facebook page and my Facebook page have been blowing up from comments from people who say we need tougher penalties for pet owners who don't follow the rules. Animal welfare group Friends of Indianapolis Dogs Outside is pushing for change. They spoke out when Gordon Turrentine got a year probation after he left his dog to freeze to death and threw it in a dumpster.
He knew that the weather was life-threatening, and he left his dog out there anyways.
Turrentine was criminally charged with animal cruelty and escaped jail time. In a separate case, pit bull mix Flash died in June after he was tethered outside in the hot sun. His owner, Melinda Ryan, wasn't criminally charged, but she admitted to 3 care and treatment ordinance violations. Her sentence, to pay a $100 fine plus court costs.
You know, that's a token amount for the suffering and death that dog experienced.
In Indianapolis, a first-time care and treatment violation will get you a $25 minimum fine. That's what Ryan received on 2 of those violations, the minimum. Fido is proposing a first-time fine of $200 and $500 for subsequent violations.
Yeah, it needs to jump up.
We took your concerns and Fido's to City County Councilman Andy Harris.
I definitely think the fine is too low.
What can the City County Council do about this?
Well, I think we're listening to the constituents. You read the concern, and I have no problem at a $500 violation. I mean, some people say $100, $200. No, you got to make it hurt. And $500, I believe, would get their attention.
Melinda Ryan can keep her 2 other dogs. Both Fido and Harris say the city needs to look at further restrictions for irresponsible pet owners. Typically, pet owners are only banned from keeping dogs in extreme cases.
And if they just don't care, they need to be held accountable, and they shouldn't be allowed to keep animals under their care if they're not going to care for them.
City County Councilor Zach Adamson says state lawmakers need to do something as well. They could start by mirroring our local ordinance and putting criminal penalties behind it. In addition, prohibit any violators from owning pets in the future. We're working for you and reaching out to state lawmakers to find out what they're doing on the issue. We found a petition online that's gathered nearly 30,000 signatures supporting increased punishment for animal torture. Councilman Harris is on the Public Safety Committee, and he says he will welcome any proposal that comes his way. Working for you in Indianapolis, I'm Call 6 Investigates, Kara Kenny.
And we reached out to Indianapolis Animal Care Services for their input, and they would only tell us it's their job to enforce the ordinance, and the ordinance provides the minimum fine. Happening right now in neighborhoods in Indiana and all across the country, it's the 36th annual National Night Out Against Crime. You're looking at a live picture from the Night Out event at 38th and Post Road on the east side, hosted by the Far East Side Community Council. Some fun activities and food, as you see there on the screen. National Night Out promotes police-community partnerships to make our neighborhoods safer. It's an opportunity to get to know your neighbors and police officers who protect you there. It's a fun night for the kids as you see them in the bounce house there. The ultimate goal of these events is to prevent crime and make the place that you live safer.
A proposed rule change at the USDA could kick more than 3 million people across the country off SNAP or food stamp benefits, some of those people in Indiana. The federal agency says it wants to remove a loophole where people could take advantage of those benefits without needing them. But in Indiana, it would also undo a statewide law change that raises the limit of assets a person can have and still receive SNAP benefits from about $2,000 to $5,000. This means if you have $3,000 in savings but otherwise qualify for benefits, you would be kicked off if the rule change goes into effect. The executive director of a statewide food bank group says this could hurt Hoosiers who are trying to save money while on SNAP.
We are encouraging people to save so that when they're no longer on federal benefits, they have a little bit of a cushion so they can get past that first medical bill, that first, car breakdown, things that are inevitably going to happen because they happen to everyone. They were only eligible to have a very small amount of savings, which is contradictory to everything that you would tell someone who was low income.
A representative with FSSA said the agency is still trying to determine exactly how many Hoosiers will be impacted if the rule change goes into effect. The public comment period ends in late September. For more info, click on this story on the IndyChannel.com.
A blind brother and sister filed a federal lawsuit today alleging the state's Family and Social Services Administration fails to adequately communicate with the blind. FSSA administers programs like food stamps and Medicaid. Siblings Christopher and Sarah allege the print-only benefits communications, which they receive from FSSA and their contractors, force them to rely on other people to read their private information. Indiana Disability Rights represents the siblings and says the state's mistake also caused blind people in Indiana to lose their benefits.
This is extraordinarily important. We're talking about programs here that are very sensitive and confidential medical information for these individuals. And as of right now, without proper accommodations or effective communications by the Division of Family Resources, these individuals are meant to rely on other individuals to read these mailings and eligibility documents, which is frankly unacceptable.
FSSA says it does not comment on pending litigation. Indiana Disability Rights is asking for FSSA to provide blind people with materials in Braille or in a format that can be used with electronic screen readers. Still ahead here at 6 o'clock, the end may be finally in sight for a bridge project that's gone on for more than a year and a half.
Plus, the first of its kind water coaster is coming to southern Indiana. We'll take a look at what Holiday World now has planned for you.
That day first at Grand Park in Westfield, Colts Camp Day 11. Not outdoors, though. We're talking indoors, where we found out that Andrew Luck going through a different set of exercises, trying to get back with his team, perhaps as early as Saturday. That and more coming up in just a bit.
And thunderstorm chances decreasing this evening, not increasing. Thunderstorms down in southwest Indiana, sliding to the south and east. We'll talk about our next opportunity for some rain coming up.
Backyard style for you.
This is RTV6 News at 6, working for you.
Now, a traffic alert from the city's north side. Those waiting for the Central Avenue Bridge over Fall Creek to open will have to wait a little longer. DPW reports it will hopefully open in a few weeks, and the department admits that the project has taken way too long. The bridge closed in January of 2017, earlier than scheduled because it began to fall apart. DPW wanted to reopen it in July. The contractor is being fined $1,000 per day, dating back to June 1st of this year.
Get ready for a lot more splash in your future adventures to Holiday World and Splash and Safari in southern Indiana. They are adding a third water coaster. The amusement park in Santa Claus today broke ground today on the Cheetah Chase. It will feature 2 Pro Slide Rocket Blast powered racing slides totaling more than 1,700 feet of track. You will get to experience a water-powered flat launch before racing against family and friends to the finish line. The ride features the first ever head-to-head dueling zone on a water coaster. Cheetah Chase is the world's first full-circuit racing water coaster. It will travel at 30 feet per second and have the tallest rocket blast section in the world at 27 feet tall. It's due to open in the spring or early summer of next year.
And it looks like a lot of fun out there, right? Well, tomorrow, Kevin Gregory reaches a milestone in his broadcasting career. 30 years on the air at WRTV. That's quite an accomplishment in any career. 30 years at one business and no end in sight. Kevin and former RTV6 sports anchor and reporter Scott Hoke go back even farther, 40 years together. Scott credits Kevin to tipping him off to the first 2 jobs he got in television. The two met in 1979 at Ben Davis High School, where they were both students, both broadcasting at the school radio station. It's a friendship that's lasted a lifetime.
I will tell you this. His dad, Bob, of course, worked at Channel 13 for many, many years. Used to have these things called weather critters. They were little magnetic things that stuck onto the big, national map. Well, Kevin used to take the leftovers and he'd stick them on the inside of his locker. So he'd have a little lightning bolt and a cloud that was blowing, you know, wind and stuff, and he'd pop his locker open and they'd fall out and whatever. And I used to think that was hilarious because here is this kid's got his dad's weather magnets in his school locker.
It turns out if I should have had more books in my locker.
But you didn't. Do you still have these?
No, I don't think so. I'd have to go looking deep for
That'd
those.
be quite a collection.
But it was back when the weather maps were real.
Right, but they felt
You have stuff scattered all over this building, Kevin.
Well, yeah, but now we live in the virtual world, right? You know, the computers project things that aren't really there that appear on your screen at home. But Scott and I go back to WBDG, which is a high school radio station, 90.9 FM, and it was a great way to get experience and kind of confirm the path that we wanted to follow.
That you want to do that, right?
And I remember my first time ever on the air, I'd talked for maybe 15 seconds and I started to hyperventilate and I shut the microphone off. And then the teacher came in, "What are you doing?" I go, "I can't talk."
And that set the pace.
Yeah, exactly. Showers and thunderstorms, southwest Indiana along Interstate 64. We were hoping we'd have more widespread rain in central Indiana. That complex, though, is missing the mark for us. It's tagging western portions of Kentucky. As far as additional rainfall, we're not done. I think those in the southern third or half of the state, Columbus, Greensburg, south, you may still get a downpour. For example, that's crossing I-65 now between Columbus and Seymour. Also southeast of Greensburg, isolated shower there that may clip Batesville. Just so you can see where you live compared to the rain, not much happening in the northwest half. The spark for the thunderstorms is now south of Interstate 70. That's a weak cold front. As it slides to the south, that's where the threat for thunderstorms will be. The wind has changed direction. That's the one impact of the cold front. It's not much of a cold front in the sense that our temperatures tomorrow won't be that much cooler. We'll be at about 84 or 85 for the high. Temperature right now 86 in Indianapolis, lower 80s Peru on the Lafayette. Rain-cooled air soon will arrive in Columbus and areas south. Fishers is at 87, same for Castleton, 85 in Edinburgh. These isolated thunderstorms will be south of Indy through, say, sunset, and then will dry out everywhere. 75 by the time we get to 10 o'clock tonight. Tomorrow, more sunshine around first half of the day. Temperature 80 degrees by the time we reach noon. Afternoon temperatures still only about 84, just about average for this time of year. We're rain-free, or the threat of rain not there. The breeze will be nice out of the west-northwest, anywhere from 10 to 20 miles per hour, and that brings in somewhat drier air. Temperatures, as we mentioned, from north to south, not much of a temperature range. Let's look at Thursday. In the morning, dry. Clouds will increase. The chance for a thunderstorm will increase, especially north and northeast in the afternoon hours on Thursday, then cut through the rest of central Indiana early in the evening. Thursday, temperatures warm again. Warmest day within the 7-day planner as we look forward. About 88 for the high temperature. There are Thursday highs to the south. You could hit 90, say Columbus, Bedford, and Seymour, depending on the timing of those thunderstorms. There are your temperatures over the weekend in the mid-80s. 7-day planner focused on Thursday because that is our only next best chance for thunderstorms until the weekend. Then on Tuesday of next week, we'll have at least one more opportunity.
That's way out there.
Yes.
Way out there. All right, thanks, Kevin.
Dave First joins us now from Colts Camp. Hey, Dave.
Hey, good evening, guys. Day 11, hard to believe, of Colts Camp as it rolls along. Even harder to believe. Think about this. Just 5 days left after the team gets back from Buffalo. Yep, preseason game number 1, Thursday night out in Buffalo. The team with the travel day tomorrow. Meanwhile, despite what you see now, there was some weather expected to move in. So the team moving indoors for practice. Not a bad perk, really, to have an indoor facility during training camp, but they have just that out here at Grand Park. That's one of the great benefits of being up here. Not so good news, though, if you're a fan. Just 500 allowed inside and no autographs afterwards as well, but all in the name of safety in case that weather did move in. Now, as for practice, Frank Reich, once again, without Andrew Luck as he nurses that left calf and lower leg injury. Jacoby Brissett will start Thursday in Buffalo. He'll play the first quarter of that preseason game. Andrew has apparently been going through a different set of exercises this week than last week, and the team believes it's working.
My concern level never kicks in because that's one thing I think I've always felt, but if I learned anything, and I learned a lot from Tony Dungy, working with him, he literally never flinched. Even when our best players got hurt, you would look at him and you would think it was just he was never overly concerned.
Keeping a close eye on Andrew Luck. Meanwhile, one of the areas also to keep an eye on, the running back position. Marlon Mack is the established starter and returner, but number 40 is Dante Foreman, just picked up from the Texans, who cut him a couple days ago. In fact, he arrived in town at 1 a.m. early this morning. Foreman is a 2-year pro, drafted in the 3rd round out of the University of Texas. He's the Doak Walker Award winner. That's an award which goes to the top college running back, and he did so back in 2016. So this kid's got a lot of credentials. We'll see if it pans out with the Colts. Number 21, of course, Nyheim Hines, last year's 4th-round pick by the team, 314 yards, 2 touchdowns last season, both hoping to prove they belong on this franchise.
This year, how important is this year for you personally, you think?
I mean, it's football. You never know when your last season's going to be, so every year is important, and this is the next year. So excited, and especially for me, just, going from year 1 to year 2, I'm excited to hopefully make a big jump, and this is a big game for us. Hopefully it starts off, we set the tone for the 2019 season.
More from Colts Camp tonight on the news at 11. Speaking of which, hope you'll join us tonight. Our Sports Extra Spotlight. How about a little straight line favor? The U.S. Nationals coming up in a couple weeks. J.R. Todd is the 2-time defending funny car champ, and he got a rare opportunity, a 2-seater ride with the legendary Mario Andretti. So the man used to going straight at about 300 miles an hour gets to turn left at 200 miles an hour. Brad Brown on the track tonight on the news at 11, only right here on RTV6. Hard to believe. Day 11 of Colts Camp wrapping up. We're going to be done here before you know it. We're almost done, though, right now. Meantime, the news at 6 continues.
I'm going to tie my shoes.
A diminishing area of rain between Columbus and Seymour right over Jonesville. An intensifying thunderstorm near Batesville moving southeast along Interstate 74. Most of us will stay dry. Excuse me.
All right.
Perfect timing for
Take
the end of the
5.
show.
Right, exactly. Thanks for choosing RTV6 at 6.
We'll see you at 7.
Here, hit me right there. Ugh.